Thank you, Sanya, Asma, Sadia. Thank you, TCF. Thank you, Westchester. I'm greatly honored to be here. The theme for this evening is reclaiming the soul and spirit of our land by educating our children. The very title makes one thing clear. Our land has lost its soul. This is why we need to reclaim it. But why should you care? You're highly successful in your careers. You now live in a country where your hard work is rewarded and you are financially independent. Why are any of us here in this room? Simple. We are here because we love Pakistan. We are proud Americans today, as we should be. Yet, we cannot forget the land that gave us our start and made us who we are. We stand together in declaring our gratitude, our devotion, and indeed our duty to Pakistan. I'm delighted by the presence of official representatives of the government. The other reason you're here, of course, is because of something which transcends race and gender, color and nationality. In fact, which takes us to the very core, very basic human level. Something described by the great Munir Niazi in these deeply evocative lines. Kuch unj virama okhiyan san, kuch gal vich rama da talk we see, और कुछ शहर ते लोग भी जालिम सन, कुछ मैनू मरंदा शौक भी सी. I could have given a feel-good speech tonight, but as my dear friend Rakia Zakaria pointed out to me, I would be wasting your time and mine as well. It is our moral and ethical obligation to say the tough things. What I'm going to say now may not be pleasant to hear, but should be taken in the spirit of our understanding clearly that it is precisely because of our deep love for Pakistan that we need to speak up. The Indian film director, the creator of such memorable pictures as Omkara, Maqbool, Heather, the great Vishal Bhardwaj was visiting me recently, and as is our routine, I asked Vishal to recite for me a good sher he has heard. He quoted Nawaz Deobandi. Uske qatl pe main bhi chup tha, फिर मेरा नंबर आया, और मेरे qatl पे आप भी चुप हैं, अगला नंबर आपका है. I'm certain that many of you in this room can come up with personal stories where you experienced a disheartening loss of spirit and soul in Pakistan firsthand. But if we were to look for the inflection point, a deliberate act instantiating our collective spiritual suicide as a nation, then we must revisit and confront one of the blackest moments in our brief history. At Columbia University, I teach a course called Foundations of Clinical Medicine to the freshman medical students. Last year, I also had a few students from one of the most renowned medical colleges in Pakistan rotating with us. During an informal session, I asked a young female medical student from Karachi, we hear of many incidents of bigotry. Have you personally encountered any? She said, yes, Dr. Raza. When we started as first-year medical students, 4 of us girls became very close friends. We did everything together, had a great time studying and partying. Then one day, when we were in our second year, one of the girls came and said to the two of us, "Did you know that M, our fourth friend, is an Ahmadi?" I said, "No, I didn't know, and frankly, I didn't care." She said, "Well, now I'm telling you, she is an Ahmadi. So what are you going to do about it?" I said, "What do you expect me to do about it?" She said, "At the very least, we have to exercise a complete social boycott. You know, don't you, they are wajibul qatl, punishable by death." The fact that this conversation can take place openly in broad daylight at a university in today's Pakistan amongst medical students, the creme de la creme, the top 1% of our intelligentsia, without any consequences for the person pronouncing death sentences with glib, righteous self-authority, shows that we have now crossed the boundaries of not just common decency and civility, but the Constitution is being treated like a joke. Ahmadis are supposed to be protected as minorities by the law of the land, not treated as wajibul qatl. जो जुर्म करते हैं इतने बुरे नहीं होते, सजा न दे के अदालत बिगाड़ देती है. The question is, by labeling one group as the other, what are the real issues that we are trying to distract ourselves from? Ahmadis became non-Muslims overnight by an act of constitution, but the forces which led up to it had been brewing under the surface for a long time. The Ahmadi community wholeheartedly participated in the partition movement and prospered in the post-partition Pakistan, contributing to progress and advances in every discipline. But at the same time, they remained easy targets of the puritanical movements. Things came to a head in the early 70s when our leaders had to confront the frightening ambiguities in the aftermath of the Bangladesh POW crisis and deal with the economic breakdown and political destabilization staring them in the face. Incapable of addressing the complexities of a post-war fractured country with its wounded pride, they began to make compromises, ultimately betraying the fundamental values of a secular democracy. A disoriented populace, furious at the bewildering loss, was anyway hankering for revenge. The right-wing devout faction seized the moment. On faith's battered back, calm minds conspired to etch murderous words that cooled a nation's hot rage. All could be simplified by blaming someone else for the failures. The public would be distracted if we divided the world into Muslims and non-Muslims. The susceptible awam were easily duped into believing that salvation would only come through further purifying the land of the pure by getting rid of everyone who differed from the mainstream, even Muslims. However, we cannot exonerate ourselves by simply blaming one individual, the socialist leader who eventually surrendered to their demand for blood and gave them a constitutional umbrella to operate under by legitimizing the bigotry, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. The purest orthodoxy had already whipped up the hatred needed to go for the jubilant. No, it is myopic, short-sighted, and plain wrong to hold Bhutto alone as responsible for the Ahmadi issue. We are all to blame. And the Ahmadis, they are paying a hefty price, often with their lives. All religious minorities are persecuted in Pakistan, but no Muslim sect has been targeted with the viciousness with which the Ahmadi young men, their innocent women and children are bludgeoned to death in broad daylight. They suffer glaring discriminations and social boycotts in perfectly legitimate higher institutions as well as in fancy drawing rooms of the nation. the ferocity of the vengefulness, the grisly malevolence and the facile, flippant arrogance with which the sentence of kafir is parceled out is breathtaking and ghastly in its self-righteousness. All of us owe an apology to our Ahmadi Muslim community. Our prime purpose in life is to help other human beings. In medicine, we have a rule. If you can't help them, at least don't hurt them. This, my fellow Pakistanis, is where and how we began to lose our spirit and soul as a nation. The purists first turned their anger on non-Muslims, Hindus and Parsis, Christians and Jews, and then to subsects within the Ummah, like Ahmadis and Shias, and then to subsects of Sunnis, the Sufis and Barelvis, and now essentially anyone who is not a Wahhabi. Who is next? Agla number aapka hai. How do we propose to tame the savagery of man and reclaim our soul? The first and foremost task is to break our silence. Silence is violence. Nahi minnat kashe tabe shanidan daasta meri. Nahi minnat kashe tabe shanidan daasta meri. Khamoshi guftgu hai, bezabani hai zaba meri. और ये दस्तूरे ज़बां बंदी है कैसा तेरी महफिल में, यहाँ तो बात करने को तरसती है ज़बां मेरी। लाली टूटियों ने, कुमरियों ने, अंदलीबों ने, चमन वालों ने मिलकर लूट ली तर्ज़े फ़ुवा मेरी। After each crisis, we have emerged as a nation changed forever. Post Bangladesh, we turned on our own, labeling the most vulnerable fellow citizens as kafirs. And while we survived the Afghanistan imbroglio of the 1980s without imploding into pieces, sadly, the grotesque nature of the price we have paid is all too apparent. Except for a small band of diehards clinging to their secular values, the rest, especially the middle class, have turned into fundamentalist, sanctimonious, pompous, self-satisfied, self-important, dogmatic, judgmental know-it-alls. If I was to use one word to describe the ideology of Pakistan today, that word would be intolerance. This is not how it was supposed to be. वो इंतजार था जिसका ये वो सहर तो नहीं. I agree wholeheartedly with TCF's proposed solution to reclaim the spirit and soul of our land by educating children. But what education are we talking about? We used to believe that once humans acquired a certain level of developed aesthetics, capable of appreciating the high arts such as music and poetry, dance and painting, what Ghalib calls the Zawq-e-Nazar-e-Jamal, one's longing to behold the glorious manifestations of beauty, the desire to be a witness of wonders, the Israr-e-Azal. Once we reach such an aesthetic platform, we should be above and beyond the primitive, brutal urges of the illiterate, marauding hordes. But this belief was utterly shattered by the 2 world wars, which in quick succession engulfed all of Europe at the height of its aesthetic achievements. No, my friends, humans are complex beings, full of contradictions. Manto got this complexity right when he describes a man during the partition who callously kills another human being, but then is horrified to discover a drop of blood staining his flawless white kurta. And Quratullah and Heather got this complexity and contradiction right when at 19 years of age she asks in Mere Bhi Sanam Khane, और फिर उसने अपने आप से एक सवाल किया कि अगर इंसानियत लुढ़कती लुढ़काती मारती मरती बिल आखिर एक नए उफुक पर पहुंच गई और अरबों और यहूदियों ने एक दूसरे पर बम फेंकने की आदत तर्क कर दी, और सरदार बंटा सिंह ने फजलदाद खान के पेट में कृपान भोंकने से सच्चे दिल से तौबा कर ली, तो इस सब से रखशंदा बेगम की जिंदगी को क्या फायदा पहुंचेगा? कुछ भी नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं। इस सब के मुकाबले में महज एक शेर ही जिंदगी गुजारने के लिए कहीं ज्यादा कीमती है। गजाला तुम तो वाकिफ हो, कहो मजनू के मरने की। गजाला तुम तो वाकिफ हो, कहो मजनू के मरने की। दीवाना मर गया आखिर को, वीराने पे क्या गुजरी। The Western ideology has a strict separation between Athens and Jerusalem, and where Athens represents pure reason and Jerusalem represents pure passion, spirituality. I'm an oncologist, and on a daily basis, I have conversations with patients who are very, very sick and dying. Managing any disease, but especially cancer, is a bilateral affair. I tell my patients that I am the Athens in this equation, representing the detailed knowledge and hard facts about their illness. But they are the Jerusalem, the ones who are feeling, experiencing, and suffering. We must combine Athens and Jerusalem to reach a wholesome solution for their cancer. My dear friends, there is a malignant cancer eroding the spirit and soul of our land. We must combine our Athens and Jerusalem to fight this cancer. Allama Iqbal says, "Tu reh navarde shauq hai, manzil na kar qabul." और लैला भी हम नशी हो तो महमिल न कर कबूल। सुबह अजल ये मुझसे कहा जिब्राइल ने, जो अक्ल का गुलाम हो वो दिल न कर कबूल। The real human bondages that chain us are not problems that can be understood through logic and reason. No. Our real bondages belong to the strangeness of our minds, the utterly illogical attachments we make, the maddening passions that drive us without rhyme or reason. Ghalib at 17 years of age declares, "Hasti ke mat fareeb mein aa jaiyo asad, alam tamam halqa-e dame khayal hai." So what am I really saying? I am saying that yes, education of children is important, but more important is to see who are the educators and what are they teaching. Turning around an entire society's appalling biases will not happen overnight, but it certainly will not happen if the educators maintain their intolerant and cruel worldviews. If we value decency and civility, if we honor and wish to preserve our grand, magnificent tehzeeb built over millennia, then we must first take off the bigoted lenses through which the teachers envision the world around them, and in turn are seeding innocent minds with the same poison. I am deeply honored to have this stage for a few minutes to raise my voice in favor of the Citizens Foundation. But I want to challenge TCF and all of you to take on a much larger, far-reaching and sweeping agenda. Giving money is not enough because you feel for Pakistan, your Jerusalem part. No, you must rise up and provide your Athens, the intellectual leadership needed to correct the misguided, frequently just plain inaccurate curriculum being taught. Let us not allow profound questions of our soul and spirit to be defined by debates restricted to the Chadar and Chardiwari at one end of the globe and by questions of abortion and homophobia on the other. As my sister Dr. Atiya Khan, President of the Human Development Foundation, has pointed out, TCF can take the lead in uniting various NGOs in the US and across the globe. Collectively, you can pressure the government to re-evaluate the credentials of teachers and to update the regressive, medieval, outdated, out-of-touch syllabus. When Dr. Abdullah Jafri and other TCF members take the stage after me to ask for donations from you, the true khair khwaz of Pakistan. I want TCF to pledge to you that the money you give will be used to promote a modern, humane, empathetic, fact-driven and non-bigoted education of children in Pakistan so they can shine locally and compete globally. The last point I want to emphasize is that of course teaching hard facts is essential. But starting in childhood, we must pay equal attention to improve not just the IQ but the EQ, the emotional quotient. The guidance of the shock into a more caring, kind, compassionate halqa-e-dam-e khayal. This means helping minds not just improve eyesight, but hearts to develop insights. This may sound like a lofty spiritual goal, but in fact, it is practically attainable. If we emphasize in our society the virtues of empathy, altruism, respect for diversity, and above all, modesty and humility, then students will reap the highest benefit of education. You know what that is? I will summarize it for you in one word again. The highest benefit of education is tolerance. Tolerance is what allows for the best insights. Tolerance is the oil that will take out the friction from our lives. Tolerance is what will fuel lasting love. And when tolerance comes, then there will be no more Sunnis or Shias, Ahmadis or Ismailis, Jews or Hindus or Christians. Rather, do you know what we'll see when tolerance comes? We will witness वो दिन के जिसका वादा है जो लौहे अज़ल पे लिखा है हम देखेंगे लाजिम है कि हम भी देखेंगे जब जुल्म सितम के कोहे गिरां रुई की तरह उड़ जाएंगे हम महकूमों के पांव तले ये धरती धड़ धड़ धड़केगी और अहले हकम के सर ऊपर जब बिजली कड़कड़ कड़केगी सब बुत उठवाए जाएंगे हम अहले सफा मरदूदे हरम मसनद पे बिठाए जाएंगे सब ताज उछाले जाएंगे सब तख्त गिराए जाएंगे हम देखेंगे लाजिम है कि हम भी देखेंगे बस नाम रहेगा अल्लाह का जो गायब भी है हाजिर भी जो नाजिर भी है मंजर भी उठेगा अनल हक का नारा जो मैं भी हूँ और तुम भी हो और राज करेगी खल्क़े खुदा जो मैं भी हूँ और तुम भी हो हम देखेंगे लाजिम है कि हम भी